The Faint Whisper presents. They found a tape in the woods. Then it vanished. Some things aren't meant to be found. Some recordings capture moments that should have stayed buried. This is the story of 3 friends who discovered something in the woods. Something that wouldn't let them forget. And the worst part? No one believes them. Because the evidence simply disappeared.
Breaking news. Search continues for 3 missing hikers last seen near Coldwater Forest. Authorities say the trio vanished without a trace 5 days ago.
My name is Marcus Webb, and I need to tell you what happened before I forget. Before it makes me forget. 3 weeks ago, my friends Ryan and Elena and I decided to spend our weekend hiking through Coldwater Forest. It's this massive stretch of wilderness about 2 hours north of Portland. We'd been planning this trip for months. Just 3 friends, trying to disconnect from the digital world for a while. Ironic, isn't it? That's exactly when we found something that changed everything. It was our second day out there. We'd set up camp near a creek, and Ryan, being Ryan, wanted to explore off the main trail. He'd read about some old logging roads from the 1970s that supposedly led to abandoned equipment and forgotten campsites. Come on, he said, adjusting his backpack. We've got 4 hours of daylight left. Let's find something interesting. Elena rolled her eyes. Your definition of interesting usually ends with us lost or injured. That was one time, Ryan protested. And we weren't really lost, just temporarily disoriented. I laughed. That's literally what lost means, dude. But we went anyway, because that's what we always did. Ryan would suggest something stupid, Elena would complain, and I'd go along with it. That was our dynamic. Was our dynamic. The logging road was barely visible. Nature had reclaimed most of it. Decades of moss and fallen branches covered what used to be a path. We walked for maybe 40 minutes, the trees getting denser, the light getting dimmer. That's when Elena stopped. Do you guys hear that? We all froze. At first I didn't hear anything, just the usual forest sounds. Birds, wind through the leaves, our own breathing. But then I caught it, a faint rhythmic sound, almost like tapping, metal on metal. Probably just a woodpecker, I said, but even I didn't believe it. The sound led us off the old road and deeper into the woods. I know. Classic horror movie mistake. But you have to understand, in that moment, it felt right, like we were supposed to follow it. We pushed through thick underbrush and came into a small clearing. And that's when we saw it, an old campsite. But not just any campsite. This one looked like it had been abandoned in a hurry. A tent, collapsed and rotting, lay on its side. A rusted camp stove sat overturned, and scattered around were personal items. A mildewed sleeping bag. A battered cooler, its lid hanging open. Clothes that had become part of the earth. This is eerie, Elena whispered. Ryan was already poking around, his curiosity outweighing any sense of preservation or respect. Look at this stuff. This has been here for decades. Look at this camera. He held up an old film camera, the kind with actual film rolls. The leather strap had rotted away, and the lens was cracked, but you could still read the brand name. Nikon F2. Vintage. Probably from the 70s or early 80s. We should report this, I said. Someone's belongings are here. Maybe someone went missing. Decades ago, Marcus, Ryan said. If something happened here, it's ancient history. That's when Elena made the discovery. Guys, her voice was barely audible. There's a tape recorder here. She was crouched near the collapsed tent, holding what looked like an old cassette recorder. One of those handheld ones that reporters used to use. It was dirty, covered in moss and dirt, but intact. And stranger still, it looked like it had been wrapped, protected. Someone had put it inside multiple plastic bags before leaving it there. "Does it work?" Ryan asked, moving closer. Elena pressed the play button. Nothing. She tried the eject button. It stuck at first, then popped open with a dry click. Inside was a cassette tape. The label on the tape was handwritten in faded ink. We could barely make out the words. Day 7. Don't listen. Don't. The rest was smudged beyond recognition. "Well, that's not ominous at all," I said, trying to lighten the mood, but my heart was pounding. Should we try to play it?" Elena asked. "Obviously," Ryan said, already pulling out his phone. "Wait, no signal. Damn. But I've got battery. Let me..." He rummaged through his backpack and pulled out a small portable speaker. "Elena, try the batteries in that thing. I've got some spares." "Ryan, maybe we shouldn't," I interjected. "That label. Someone wrote that warning for a reason. It's probably just some prank," he said. "Or someone recording a ghost story for fun. Come on, aren't you curious?" I was. God help me, I was. Elena replaced the batteries. The old recorder hummed to life, the tape inside beginning to spin. For a few seconds, there was nothing but static and tape hiss. Then, a voice. It was a man's voice. Young, maybe late 20s. And he sounded terrified. Day 7. Or is it day 8? I can't remember anymore. Sarah is gone. She walked into the trees last night and didn't come back. Just walked straight out of the tent at 3 a.m. I tried to stop her, but she wouldn't. She wouldn't even look at me. It started 3 days after we arrived. That's when we heard it. The tapping. We thought it was just the forest, you know. Animals, trees, whatever. But it got closer. Every night, closer. And then Sarah started hearing the whispers. She said they were calling her name. Told me I was crazy when I said I couldn't hear anything. But then I started hearing them too. Not words. Not exactly. Just suggestions. Thoughts that aren't mine. And the worst part? The absolute worst part? I'm starting to forget why we came here. I'm forgetting what Sarah looks like. I'm forgetting my own name sometimes. It's taking our memories, replacing them with something else. If you find this, don't listen to the rest of the tape. Don't. The tape ended abruptly. We stood there in stunned silence. The forest around us suddenly felt darker, more oppressive. The birds had stopped singing. That was... Elena started but couldn't finish. A recording, Ryan said firmly. Just an old recording. Probably some students making a Blair Witch-style prank. This is from, what, the 80s? This could have been here for 40 years. But the batteries, I said. The tape still works. The recorder was wrapped in plastic like someone wanted to preserve it. Maybe someone found it and rewrapped it, Ryan argued. Come on. You guys don't actually believe in tap, tap, tap. We all heard it. That same metallic tapping we'd heard before. But now it was clear, deliberate, and it was coming from deeper in the woods. We're leaving, Elena said firmly. Right now. No one argued. We practically ran back the way we came. Branches scratching our faces, our packs bouncing awkwardly on our backs. The tapping followed us for a while, then faded. Or maybe we just got far enough away. We didn't stop until we reached our campsite. It was late afternoon by then, the sun starting its descent. We should have packed up and left immediately. Hiked back to our car and driven home. But we didn't. We convinced ourselves we were being ridiculous, that we'd just spooked ourselves with an old recording and our own imaginations. Let's just stay tonight, Ryan said. We'll leave first thing in the morning. No point hiking in the dark. Elena and I agreed, though neither of us was happy about it. We built a fire, cooked our dinner, tried to act normal. But the tape was there, sitting in Ryan's backpack. I could almost feel it. This presence, this weight. "I want to hear the rest," Ryan said suddenly. "What?" Elena and I said in unison. "The tape." The guy said not to listen to the rest. "That means there is a rest. I want to know what else is on there." "Are you insane?" Elena stood up. "Did you not hear what he said? About forgetting? About people disappearing? Oh, come on. You can't seriously believe that. It's a story. Someone's creative fiction project from before podcasts existed." But I noticed something in Ryan's eyes. Something off. A fixation. "Ryan," I said carefully, "why do you want to hear it so badly?" He blinked. I don't know. I feel like I need to. Like it's important." Elena grabbed my arm. Marcus, his eyes. I looked closer. In the firelight, Ryan's pupils were dilated. Not just a little. Massively. Like he'd taken something. "Ryan, are you feeling okay?" "I'm fine," he said. But his hand was already reaching for his backpack. "I just need to hear the rest of the tape. Don't you want to know what happened to them? To Sarah?" "No," I said firmly. "I really don't." But Ryan had already pulled out the recorder. He pressed play. The tape picked up where it left off. "Day. I don't know anymore. The tapping is constant now. It's inside my head. Tap, tap, tap. Right behind my thoughts. I can't sleep. Can't eat. Can't remember my family's faces anymore. Just the trees. Just the tapping." I tried to leave. Packed everything. Started walking. But the forest, it won't let me. Every direction I walk, I end up back at the campsite. It's impossible. I've tried following the sun, using a compass. Nothing works. The trees move when I'm not looking. I know how that sounds, but I've marked them, carved arrows, and the marks are different every time I pass by. If you're hearing this, you're already too late. You listened, and now it knows about you. It spreads through sound, through hearing. The words create a pattern in your brain, and that's all it needs to find you. To start the process, you'll forget. Little things first, then bigger things. Your memories will become hollow, and in those empty spaces, it will plant suggestions. You'll feel compelled to return, to walk into the woods, to find. Ryan suddenly pressed stop, but his hand was shaking. "Turn it off," Elena said. "Ryan, turn it off right now." "I can't." But "I want to, but I can't. My hand won't stop." And then his finger pressed play again. The tape resumed. But now there was something else. Underneath the man's voice, you could hear it. A whisper, or maybe thousands of whispers, all overlapping, creating this horrible harmony of sounds that weren't quite words. Elena grabbed the recorder from Ryan's hands and threw it into the fire. We watched as the plastic melted, the tape inside curling and burning. The whispers seemed to scream as it died, a sound that made my teeth ache and my vision blur. Then silence. Ryan collapsed, just fell straight down like his strings had been cut. Elena and I rushed to him. Ryan, can you hear me?" His eyes were open but unfocused. Then, slowly, he turned his head to look at us. When he spoke, his voice was different, flatter. "Who are you?" "What?" "Ryan, it's me, Marcus, and Elena. I don't know those names. Why am I here? Where is here?" Elena and I looked at each other. The fear in her eyes mirrored my own. "Ryan, this isn't funny. My name isn't Ryan." He sat up slowly, mechanically. "My name is... He frowned. "I can't remember my name." Over the next hour, we watched as Ryan's memories disappeared. He forgot where he went to college, forgot his parents' names, forgot that he'd known us for 15 years. By the time the sun set completely, he was almost catatonic, just staring into the fire with blank eyes. "We need to get him to a hospital," Elena said. "Now." We packed up in a panic. barely remembering to put out the fire. I hoisted Ryan up, and he walked with us, but it was like guiding a mannequin. No resistance, no initiative, just empty compliance. But as we started down the trail, something was wrong. The path didn't look right. Trees I didn't remember. Rocks in different positions. Marcus. Elena's voice was tight with fear. This isn't the right way. Yes, it is. The trail is right. But I stopped, because she was right. This wasn't our path. I pulled out my phone. No signal, but the GPS should still show our location. But the screen just showed static. Not the usual no GPS message. Actual static, like a TV between channels. Tap, tap, tap. There it was again. That sound. Closer now. Run, I said. We ran, dragging Ryan between us, crashing through underbrush, scraping our arms and faces on branches. The tapping followed, and now I could hear something else. Footsteps, but not human footsteps. Too many of them, and they came from multiple directions. I don't know how long we ran. Time felt wrong. It could have been minutes or hours, but eventually we burst through the tree line and found ourselves back at our campsite, the same campsite we just left. The fire we'd extinguished was burning again. Our tents were set up exactly as they had been. Even the food wrappers we'd packed away were scattered around. No, Elena whispered. No, no, no. That's when Ryan spoke. But it wasn't Ryan's voice. Not really. It was dozens of voices, speaking in perfect unison. You listened. You heard. You belong to us now. Elena screamed. She bolted into the woods. I tried to follow, but something grabbed my ankle. I fell hard, my face slamming into the dirt. When I looked back, it was Ryan, but his grip was impossibly strong. His eyes were completely black now, empty. We've been waiting so long, the voices said through him. So many memories to collect, so many thoughts to harvest. You'll forget everything, and in that emptiness, we will flourish. I kicked hard, and my boot connected with his face. His grip loosened just enough for me to scramble away. I ran after Elena, screaming her name. I found her at the edge of a ravine. I definitely didn't remember being there before. She was backing away from something. Multiple somethings. Figures made of shadow and trees and broken light. They moved wrong, jerky and stuttering like corrupted video files. Elena, come on. She turned to me, and I saw her pupils were dilating. Marcus, I'm sorry. Who are you? No, fight it. Elena, remember. Remember who you are. Remember us. For a moment, something flickered in her eyes. Recognition, fear, human fear. I can feel it eating my thoughts. It's like termites in my brain, chewing through everything I am. Marcus, I don't want to forget you. Then don't. Hold on, we're getting out of here. But even as I said it, I felt it too. A presence in my mind, whispering, suggesting, telling me I'd never had friends, that I'd always been alone in these woods, that my entire life before this moment was just a dream. And the terrible thing, part of me believed it. I grabbed Elena's hand. We're not giving up. We ran again. Away from the shadow figures. Away from what used to be Ryan. The forest twisted around us, paths appearing and disappearing. And all the while, I could feel my memory starting to slip. My mother's face became fuzzy. My address disappeared. My job, my hobbies, my favorite food, all of it draining away like water through a sieve. But I held on to one thing. Elena. I kept looking at her, reminding myself, this is my friend. Her name is Elena. We are trying to survive. Then, impossibly, we saw light, not sunlight, flashlights, and voices, human voices calling our names. Here, I screamed. We're here. A search party crashed through the undergrowth. park rangers and volunteers. They'd been looking for us. How long? I gasped as they wrapped us in emergency blankets. How long have we been out here? The ranger looked confused. You've been missing for 5 days. Your car was found at the trailhead. We've had teams searching. 5 days. Elena looked at me in horror. We've only been gone for 2. But even as she said it, I could see in her eyes that she wasn't sure. Neither was I. The memories were already becoming unreliable. Dreamlike. They found us. They got us out of the forest. But they never found Ryan. And the tape? The recorder. When the rangers went back to investigate the abandoned campsite we described, they found nothing. No tent, no rusted equipment, no trace that anyone had ever been there. Elena and I were checked into a hospital, dehydrated, scratched, and bruised, but physically okay. Mentally, that's where things got complicated. They asked us questions, simple things, our names, our addresses, where we worked, and we answered. But even as the words came out of our mouths, I could feel the uncertainty. Were these really our memories? Or were they just stories our brains were creating to fill the holes? Elena was discharged after 3 days. I stayed for a week. They said I was having dissociative episodes. I'd wake up in different parts of the hospital with no memory of walking there. I'd forget nurses' names seconds after being told. I'd start conversations and lose my train of thought mid-sentence. But the worst part? The absolutely worst part? Every night, right at 3 a.m., I hear it. Tap, tap, tap. And with it come the whispers. Not quite words, not quite language, but I understand them. They're calling me back, telling me I left something important in the woods, something I need to retrieve. Last night, I woke up to find myself dressed and standing at my front door, car keys in hand. I have no memory of getting out of bed, no memory of getting dressed, but some part of me, some deep, infected part, was ready to drive back to Coldwater Forest. I threw the keys down the garbage disposal, destroyed them. I don't trust myself anymore. Elena calls me every day. Or at least, I think it's Elena. She sounds right, says things Elena would say. But I can't quite remember her face anymore. And when I close my eyes and try to picture her, all I see is trees. Dark trees, with something moving between them. Yesterday, I got a package, no return address. Inside was a cassette tape. The label reads, Marcus, Day 1. I haven't listened to it. I won't listen to it. I'm going to destroy it. I swear I will. But right now, it's sitting on my desk. And I can hear it. Not with my ears, but in my mind. The whispers are telling me that if I listen, I'll remember. I'll remember everything clearly. All the missing pieces will come back. And God help me, I'm starting to believe them. Ryan's parents held a funeral service last week. They gave up hope. But here's the thing, and I haven't told anyone this because I know how insane it sounds. I went to that funeral, and I couldn't remember what Ryan looked like. His parents showed me pictures, and I looked at them. And some distant part of my brain said, yes, that's Ryan. But I couldn't connect the face to any actual memory. It's like knowing someone existed without ever really knowing them. The police closed the investigation. 3 hikers went into the woods. 2 came back with trauma-induced amnesia. 1 didn't come back at all. Case closed. Tragic accident. But it wasn't an accident. And it's not over. Because every night, more of me disappears. More memories get replaced with tree shadows and tapping sounds. And every night, the compulsion to return to those woods gets stronger. I'm recording this while I still can. While I still remember why it's important. I need people to know what happened. What's still happening. If you ever find a tape in the woods, any tape, any recording device that looks like it shouldn't be there, leave it. Don't listen. Don't even touch it. And if you hear tapping in the forest, 3 sharp taps in rhythm, run. Run and don't look back. I'm adding this recording to all the online platforms I can find, making it public. Not because I think anyone will believe me, but because I need proof. Proof that I existed. Proof that I had a friend named Elena and a friend named Ryan, and that we went into the woods together. Because tomorrow I might forget even that. The sun is setting now. I'm looking at the tape on my desk, the one with my name on it. The whispers are so loud now. They're telling me that everything I'm feeling, the fear, the confusion, the loss, it will all go away if I just press play. I can be whole again, complete, and I want to believe them so badly. If you're listening to this, if you're hearing my voice, remember me. Remember that I fought this. Remember that I tried to warn you. Remember Marcus Webb, because I'm not sure I will.
In a strange update to the Coldwater Forest case, Marcus Webb, one of 2 survivors, Teddy, went missing from his apartment last night.
His computer was found open to this audio file, uploaded to multiple platforms.
And now to the scene.
Police say they're continuing the investigation, but so far, there are no leads.
Webble's car was later discovered abandoned at the entrance to Coldwater Forest.
If you enjoyed tonight's story from The Faint Whisper, remember to like and subscribe. But before you go, if you're listening to this late at night, in the dark, alone, do you hear it? That sound in the distance? That rhythmic tapping? No. Good. Keep it that way. Sweet dreams.